everybody, and welcome back. Today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Osho Zen Tarot. So, this is a deck that I put on my list a long time ago. And I would see videos on it or spreads with it or people posting things about it, and I would take it off my list. And then I'd put it back on, and then I'd take it back off, and then I'd put it back on. So this is a deck that I never committed to purchasing. I didn't know how I felt about it. So this year I decided, when I had a little bit of extra Christmas money, that I was going to scroll right back down to the beginning of my deck list, and I was going to pick decks that I wasn't really quite sure if I wanted them or not, or decks that kind of got lost in the shuffle, right? Decks that other decks got picked over, right? And they ended up making its way down the list. So this was at the bottom, as well as with another deck that I ended up bringing in that I will do another video on. And I decided to bring it in. I looked at it, watched a couple videos, and just came to the conclusion that I was going to see it for myself because I was attracted to it. But this deck has a lot of controversy around it. There's a lot of negative comments and opinions about it because the creator who created this deck created it for a specific person that she follows, and that's obviously Osho. And Osho is a Buddhist-like individual who has a meditation retreat and very much kind of like, and I mean, I'm just choosing this word, maybe lack of other words, but it's very cult-like. And I don't know. It's one of those things. I wasn't sure how I felt about it, and so that's why I brought it in and spent time with it. I wanted to show you in the book, when we get to the about the author section, it isn't about the person who created this deck, which I don't even know if there's a name on it. So it just says illustrations by Ma Deva Padma. So I don't really know who created it. Maybe Osho did create it and then just named it after himself. I don't know, but that's kind of egotistical too, if you ask me. But so it talks about this individual, his teachings, his organization, what he's about. Obviously, it's supposed to be a Buddha, like a Buddhist-based deck, right? But then they go in to start talking to you about the international meditation resort that they practice at. And they show you pictures of what this resort looks like and all that stuff, right? And then there's this very tiny little write-up about the person who did the illustrations. It's saying it's a tarot, but it is not a tarot. It very much does its own thing. I do like that they have the glossary of symbols and different things that you might encounter throughout the deck, so I think that's pretty cool. Like, they talk about the court cards. So the court cards, there isn't court cards, but there is four cards. They're just not king, queen, page, prince, knight, whatever we're used to seeing, princess. It's not like that, right? It is downward pointing, left pointing, sorry, upward pointing, downward pointing, left pointing, right pointing. So the upward pointing means life, heat, male, king and court cards, spiritual, right? Downward pointing is lunar, feminine, receptive, queen and court cards, cool. Pointing left is movement from the passive towards the active, page in the court cards. And then pointing right is movement, the active towards the inner, knight in court cards. So you'll see when we get there, but they have arrows instead of titles, which, I mean, they do have a little bit of titles, kind of like a keyword, but instead of using queen, king, knight, page, they used these arrows as indicator of what they are. So very interesting. They have some cool spreads in here, but at the beginning, this section about Osho and his international meditation resort, that didn't sit well with me at all. And I'm actually considering just cutting these pages out of the book because I have decided after using it for about a week that I am going to keep the deck because I actually really like the way that this deck reads. It's a phenomenal reader. I don't know if purchasing this deck supports these people and their weird international meditation resort, but it's from an actual publisher, so I doubt that it does. It's St. Martin's Essential Publishing Group in New York. I don't think like the profits go to them, right? Because they already sold the rights to this deck by printing it, I'm assuming. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't really know. I'm going to keep the booklet close by in case I need to refer to it, but let's take a look at the cards. So the nice thing about the cards, there's the backs. I really like the backs. The very first thing I noticed when I took it out, I was like, wow, I really like those backs. It's a nice size. I feel like it's bigger than bridge. I don't think you would call this bridge size. I think it's a little bit bigger than that because I feel like the Barbara Walker is considered bridge size. So this is definitely bigger than the Barbara Walker, but it's such a nice size to shuffle. Like it just fits so good in your hands. The cardstock reminds me of Los Scarbeos. So it is a thinner cardstock, but it's flexible and it shuffles like a dream. So I like the cardstock. I have no problems with it, but I also like Los Scarbeos, the older cardstock, right? So, you know, it is what it is. You might like it, you might not like it. All right, so let's get down closer and look at the cards here. So it comes with a blank card, which is really cool, right? But then it also comes with this card. And this is where it kind of started to lose me again. Is it's got this card of Osho and it's titled The Master. Okay, that's really weird and that is not my cup of tea and it is definitely not my vibe. So first thing I did is I removed this card and got rid of it and I put it underneath the box at the back, like underneath the part that holds the cards, like the slip, and it's gone and I'm not using it. I don't have a master, and if I did, it wouldn't be that man. So I removed that. Now, with that being said, with all that weird shit aside, the deck is actually a really good deck, and I really enjoy the way that it reads. It has given me such accurate, precise readings. And like I said, we don't have, like, it's not your typical tarot. You know, this, I think this, like, this, obviously, this starts out the Fool, which is really interesting. But I feel like this is the only card that has a tarot title in it that I can remember. But we've got the Fool. It's numbered the same way. Yeah, it's got your 78 cards, 79 including the Master, but I've removed it. So we've got 78 happening. But it kind of reminds me of the Voyager, right? Where it's kind of doing its own thing. But like I said, because of that, I've gotten amazing readings, but I get really strong, good readings from the Voyager, right? The other thing that people might not be crazy about is the illustrator's initials are in every picture. It's like a circle with a P. Some of them it's really quite obvious. Some of them they blend in. I'm not sure why these were left in there. I mean, you could have just threw it somewhere on the back, but they didn't. They put it into all the artwork. But with that being said, I really like the artwork. I think they're very colorful. They're very intuitive. I think they're beautiful. And I think they bring a lot forward. Like this, the Rebel, which is the Emperor, right? Absolutely beautiful card. Like just gorgeous artwork. This is quite an interesting card. I like that it has the nothingness, no thingness, the lovers, awareness. See, and how like it's really obvious in this picture. It might not be picking up on my camera that way, but it is very obvious in person. Like, I find the images really powerful and really thought provoking. And so I don't sit there and try to figure out like what tarot card that is in my head using numbers. I just take it for its keyword and what it's saying to me. So I'm not even referring to or associating it with the tarot whatsoever. And like I said, it's delivering astounding messages. I would say this is probably one of my most accurate reads that I've had in a really long time. It just feels so concrete and sure of itself, and the delivery and just the way that it says things. And I like the faces of like Buddha, and I very much, I mean, I think Buddhism is absolutely beautiful, right? So I mean, I'm okay with that aspect of it. That is quite a strong image right there. Conditioning, and you've got this lion being tied down. Oh no, he's got a sheep tied to his back. Or he's trying to cover himself with the sheep, right? So conditioning, like trying to fit in even though he's something different, right? Or being made into what these are even though he's something different. See, like there's so much that you can dive into and take from it. Thunderbolt. Silence. And see, like there is a little bit of nod to tarot. There's a tiny bit, like you can pick up on a little bit going on, right? But very much doing its own thing. I really like this card, Past Lives. And it's like the shape of an hourglass. And you've got like ancestral energy or past life energy on either side. I guess I shouldn't say ancestral energy, past life energy, right? But very cool. I find the majors are really strong images. They do pop a little bit. Like, see, like they want to bend one way or the other way. So it's a little strange, but I've been using it, right? Like I said, it's been here for about a week now and I've been using it. This is a very, I love this. The puzzle pieces and fitting the final puzzle piece in. Beautiful. All right, so these are what they consider court cards, but they're not court cards, right? So we've got the creator, sharing, intensity, and playfulness. And so see how we've got the arrow is upright. So this would be the king of fire or wands, but they don't give them that title in this, right? So we've got the masculine energy, the feminine energy, I think this was the page and this was the knight. I think it was left was the page and then right was the knight, I believe. Let me get into the book and double check and just see. And where they put that information at was slightly weird, right? Like it was in the glossary of symbols. So left is page, right is knight. So this is a page and this is a knight. But I like the concept behind it. Like I thought it was really interesting, the concept behind it. How they're both movement, right? Movement towards opposite directions or towards, let me refer to it once again. How this was movement from the passive towards active, and the knight is the active towards the inner. So this is from passive to active, and this is from active towards the inner, which is really quite interesting. I'm not a clown person, so right off the bat, this card, I was like, yee, like, I'm not afraid of clowns. Like, I don't think they're like creepy or anything. I just don't like clowns. I think they're weird. So That was a kind of a hard card for me. I do think there's another clown card in here. I tend to not get decks if they have clowns in them because I don't know. I think that it's just weird. It's just not my cup of tea. So these are your aces. Your aces are blanks, right? So we've got the source. So these are your beginnings. They talk about it in the book, and it's really quite interesting. We've got 2 possibilities, which is, I believe, a very common keyword for the 2 of Wands, right? 3 of Wands, experiencing. 4 of what would be Wands, participation. 5, totality. The P, like the, wow, it doesn't like this card. Hold on a second here. The P, like the like the marking of the artist or illustrator, it stands out in this one a lot. We've got success. 7, stress. See, there is kind of more like a circusy, another circusy clown character. But when you look at what's going on in this, it's like that performing, it's that balancing act, it's juggling, it's playing a horn, it's doing everything at once. And then you've got this monkey that's about to pop the blue note from underneath this character. So I mean, like, yeah, that's a stressful situation. Traveling with a big cat hair on it, sorry. Exhaustion. 10, suppression, which is a very powerful image. And then we go into our water, our cups, our water elements. We've got healing as the masculine energy, receptivity as the female energy, which are 2 quite beautiful symbols. This symbol gives me very much a Reiki feeling with the hands on the person. But the chakra here is yellow when it should be green if it was chakra based, but we do have the different chakra modal, the mandalas in here. We do have 7. Close to the throat. The colors are a little off, but the general gist of it's there, right? Receptivity, which I think is a very beautiful image. Trust, which is the page, and understanding, which is the knight. Going with the flow is our ace card, which is absolutely beautiful. And we've got friendliness, celebration, turning in, which is really, this is like, this image just caught my attention. I like how her dress is like flowing like water, like calm water. And then she's got all of these like outside factors around her, like speaking, talking. Some of them look angry, some of them look like they're all trying to like get to her. And she's just hanging out there in meditation mode. That's quite a beautiful, powerful image. Clinging to the past, the dream, projections, letting go, laziness, harmony. Is this deck made in the 90s? This has like a 90s feel to me. I gotta see. Yeah, 1994. Totally has a 90 vibe. Control. Oh, sorry. So then this is the end of it here, that we've got harmony is our last card, which is a beautiful image. And then we go into our air suit. Now, the interesting thing about the air suit is I found it to all be very like tough stuff, right? I don't find that, I mean, yeah, okay, the tarot, like the swords, is mental energy, and a lot of them have negative aspects to them, but I feel like this just really quite takes that and goes with it. So we've got control. as the masculine energy, mortality as the feminine energy, fighting as the page, and mind as the knight. The artwork is really quite crazy on some of them. And then our ace is the consciousness, which is the Buddha figure. Okay, and then this is where it gets to be pretty, these are pretty intense images, right? So we've got schizophrenia, isolation, postponement, comparison, the burden, which is interesting with this, like, everyday normal person wearing like ripped clothes, carrying this like wealthy man and his rooster up the, and I wanted to use the other word, but you know, YouTube gets all crazy, carrying him up the mountain, and he's just like, oh, up further, right? The burden, yeah. Politics. Well, isn't that a strong image? Guilt, where all these claws are clawing at her, coming from these dark shadows. Sorrow, rebirth. And then we go into what I feel they're referring to as spirit. So we have earth, fire, wind. Or no, sorry, we had water, fire, wind, or clouds as they're calling it. And they're calling this suit rainbows, which is now we've gotten away from, like, so we don't have an earth element, right? So we've got our majors. We went into fire, wands. We went into water, cups. We went into clouds, which is swords. So we got rainbows instead of pentacles. So our masculine energy is abundance. Our feminine energy is flowering, which is an absolutely beautiful image. We've got our page is slowing down, and our knight is adventure. And then our ace is maturity. I really like this image too. I like the color of the rainbow suit. Moment to moment. Guidance. The miser, which is totally a Four of Pentacles. Like, so there are a few cards that do relate to the tarot, right? 5, the outsider. 6, compromise. 7, patience. 8, ordinariness. 9, ripeness. And 10, we are the world. Which makes me just think of the Michael Jackson song. But yeah, so interesting deck, right? I don't know. I like it. I really do. It took me a while. Okay, I needed to get rid of the MasterCard. I'm probably going to cut those weird, like, international meditation resort papers out of the book, because when I see them, it just irritates me for some reason, which is silly because it shouldn't, right? Like, it's a man who, you know, is a little bit, you know what, I should really honestly sit down and just read what it says before I start judging it. But I automatically come from this place of dislike, and I don't know why. Maybe it's like a preconceived notion from the reviews that I've read, and the comments of the people who have, you know, had negative things to say about this deck and Osho as an individual. So I guess I just need to kind of study it a little bit more and just learn about it a little bit more, and maybe get to like a different come to my own conclusion, I guess, before I start cutting things out. But I definitely needed to remove that MasterCard because that was not my vibe. So that had to go. I mean, like if it was a different image and it wasn't so obvious, I would have probably kept it. But I feel like the master, I feel like that's such a like a controlling thing to me, right? Like I'm very Dianic, so I don't I like the thought and idea of a master doesn't sit well with me. And that's just like who I am as a person, right? But I do like the way it shuffles. I love the size. The way it sits in my hands is perfect. They are a little slippery, and because they're brand new, kind of flying all over. They do this like popping in and out thing, which is a little weird. When it's popped this way, there's actually quite a bit of suction. But if I pop them this way, then they shuffle better. Isn't that weird? All right, I'm going to pick 3 cards. And like I said, nothing in particular. I just want to see what they look like lined up together. And we'll pop them back the other way. Oh, look at that. And see, like they look good. So we've got patience, politics, and exhaustion. So a rainbow, a cloud, and fire. I don't know, really cool. Really, really cool. Like I said, if you can get past the weirdness, if you can see it for what it is and just enjoy it, if you can let go of tarot associations and just read it for its keywords, like there's a lot I feel can come forward with this deck. Like I said, this deck has been one heck of a reader for me. Its messages have been freakishly accurate. It's a good one if you ask me. But like I said, you just have to look past the connection that it has to kind of that weirdness, right? So I don't know. I was going to return it. And then, like I said, I worked with it. I took out that MasterCard and I just kind of started working with it for what it is. And I'm really enjoying it a lot. So I don't know, works for me. So I'm definitely keeping it. It's a very, even though it does embrace feminine, like the feminine aspects, I find it to be kind of more of a masculine feeling deck. So I do need some masculine feeling decks in my collection. I tend to have a lot of feminine or feminine energy decks. So to me, this adds kind of a level that I don't really have. Like I find the Sasarabito, this one, what is it, Light of the Holy Spectrum. Like those I find to be all very more masculine feeling energies, not quite feminine based or anchored in the feminine. So to me, like those decks are just, they're good decks to have kicking around because they just add a different layer to things, right? So definitely a keeper in my book. I'm going to enjoy it, use it. I'm getting to know it right now, and I've been thoroughly impressed, to tell you the truth, besides the weird things, right? So thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, do so you can catch all my videos, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.